Right now, yeah, that means okay. Yeah, I'm recording and I have the garage band going.
Sweet. I got the same thing going on my end. The audio seems pretty good. All right. And Mazid, am I saying that right?
Yes, that is the correct.
Pronunciation. Solid. How'd you meet Debra at Cornell?
Um, she was friends with I played basketball there, and she's friends with a few of the basketball players. So through them, like we met. So yeah.
Gotcha. Very cool. I was stoked when she connected us.
It was very surprised.
She is awesome.
Like a lot of people became connections that I didn't even know, like I never even thought would be when it was cool. But
right.
Can't complain.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Well, let's jump right into it. And then Mazid Oluewu.
Oluewu.
Mazid Oluewu.
Yeah.
Welcome to our first Zoom conversation we're having here.
Thank you.
I'm happy we finally got a chance to meet. You are a basketball player playing in college, transferring to Michigan. I'm assuming still going to try to work out and make the team at Michigan.
Yes, sir.
You have created content since high school and have transitioned your basketball content to now speaking for Black Lives Matter and racial and social injustices. Kudos to you, man. You're really using your platform.
Thank you.
And I'm stoked to kind of unpack your story here today.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's jump into kind of like your basketball career. I'd love to, that's your first passion, your true love. Yeah. What was that like playing in the North Shore of Chicago?
So, yeah, basically, just a quick recap. Even before North Shore, my first time playing basketball was at Lake Shore Schools. That's like a small spot on the like Edgewater, Rogers Park area. And then I went to Northside Catholic Academy. Had great coaches there. Coach John motivated me really to just keep going with the game and not quit. I was playing soccer and a whole bunch of other sports, but he made sure I was stuck to basketball. And probably around 7th, 8th grade, when I got to North Shore, that's when basketball became like, I want to play in college. That's when I had my first real like long-term goal. Like I want to play in March Madness. That's part of like where the Michigan basketball comes from, and like kind of looking for a place like how could I achieve this dream that I've had since 7th and 8th grade. High school was an interesting journey. I mean, I definitely didn't make it in terms of playing Division I right away. Still have no guarantees now. I started getting recruited my summer of junior year by a lot of Division IIIs. And it wasn't until maybe end of the senior season, I had a few D2 schools reach out to me and offer me. But I was looking for something more sound academically, and they weren't the most prestigious academic schools that had reached out to me at that time. So kind of weighing my options. At that time, I felt that Cornell College was the best option, and that's what I did. Worked really hard, regardless whether D3, D2, D1. I don't think that it was a reflection of my work ethic. I'm still working hard to get to where I want to be, but in terms of the journey, I'd sum it up by just a lot of hard work, sneaking in the gyms, starting to lift weights or trying to start lifting weights. Didn't really get too good at that part, doing that, sneaking in to get to the weight room. But on the court, I was trying everything I could, got my friends together, just trying to be a leader. And I'm still sticking to that. And I'm not done with basketball just yet. As long as my body can do it, I'm still fighting for basketball. That's definitely, that's my secret number one. As I start doing all these new things, basketball is secretly still number one.
Amen to that, man. Dude, the recruiting process is brutal. There is no easy way to go through it, especially when, you have to put all of your effort and time into just being like people looking into you and researching. You have to put out the tape. You have to send your stuff to all the coaches. Yeah. I played football at St. Thomas, so I'm a D3 athlete as well. And dude, it was so ruthless. I had the same dream playing D1 and kind of realized when I went to visit a couple schools that that really probably wasn't the best decision for me. I would never see in the field. But kudos to you for, taking the leap of faith, going to Cornell. And how was that process? So you decided not to go D1. You took the D3 route. What was that like to start?
I I still can't even explain it to this day. When people ask me, how did you choose Cornell? Did you know you were going to transfer right away? Um, what was your goal? There wasn't really, I felt like I was at square one again. I felt like I was in the same place as I was in seventh, eighth grade, kind of dreaming, except now I have this completely different path to follow. I had maybe 6 or 7 D3 offers. I was looking at postgraduate opportunities. I was looking at prep school opportunities. And as time dwindled down, Cornell became the best option, at least in my opinion. Whether or not looking back, I would do that again, I have no idea. I'm happy with where I am right now in terms of that decision, so I can say that. In terms of Cornell College, what that was like, I knew that I wanted to perform really well academically. And that was like the first thing that was on my mind in terms of how do I market myself as an athlete. I wanted to have standout grades. So my first semester, which is what all the colleges that I applied to saw, I probably had like a 3.9, like 3.8, 3.89. So I was shooting for all A's, maybe a couple A minuses in there. And then on the court, I was just fighting as hard as I could every day in practice. There was a lot going on for me at the time with the finances of school, family stuff, being, I mean, every college freshman knows if you're just stranded. I knew nobody. So it's just going through all that. I probably didn't have the best start to the season, maybe didn't make the best first impression, but I think that considering the circumstances, I just fought for everything that I could, and whether I got it or not, I knew that I tried. And that's how I would describe my Cornell experience. It was just anything I could control, I controlled it. I was successful in the classroom. I got a lot better as a basketball player, learned a lot. And if I couldn't control it, then it was none of my business. I just had to keep moving.
Yeah, man. You seem like a very self-aware and hyper competitive guy, whether it's on the court and pretty much all phases of life. Do you say that's come from your family? I read somewhere you have 2 brothers and a sister. Do you think that's like a natural family attribute you carry?
I want to say yes. And well, yeah, I'll say growing up, me, my brother, my sister, my older brother, my younger brother, my sister, all of us, we played video games together. And my oldest brother was always the best one. And he was not only was he always the best, but he was the best at every game that we played. But I was always a close second. So like through that whole process of playing games, and now my younger brother is kind of having the games that he's the best at, and I can't beat him in certain games, and I'm second to the games that he's like, I'm always second place, but I'm like second place in a whole bunch of things, but I'm never first place. So after, I think that experience kind of motivated to me, like, okay, it's cool to be the best at a few things, but if I can compete in everything, I'll take that too. So it's kind of given me, I think, those experiences being, pretty much my whole life, seeing that second place, but always being in the competition has been motivating. And even now, I think that there's nothing that I'll try that I can't be successful at with time. And it's kind of like in terms of film directing, producing music, now doing digital marketing or doing sales or basketball. Really, I don't know. I just don't see that there's anything anyone can't do. And I feel like throughout my life, I've had that example just between my siblings and then in my mom as well. She's a really hard worker. And because of that, she gets to be a lot harder on me than anybody else. Cause I mean, if she's the hardest worker, she can talk to somebody that's, still working hard, however she wants. And like trying to keep up with, I wouldn't say keep up with her, but trying to like, have her validate my work ethic has kind of kept me kept me motivated too. It's like, well, she's working all these hours. If I'm working hard, I mean, I have to come close to that, which I still don't, but I always remember, like, if I'm working, there's not a point where I'm working and she's not. But there are times she's working and I'm not. So getting closer and closer to out competing her has also been something.
It's nearly impossible, man. You can never outcompete your mom. Every mom out there. Yeah.
No, I know it's never going to happen, but I tell myself, maybe if I do this and I do that, but she's like, unstoppable. I'll never beat it. At least I don't think I'll be beating it, working only for myself, because she's working for me and my brother. So it's like, and I'm just working, it's a completely different ball game. But for now, it's definitely motivational. And I'll say that's where it all
always keep it motivational. And let's tap into your work ethic with transitioning your filming content from, you started with kind of putting out gaming content. You talked about that with you and your brother. Love video games during the high school area, and probably still love video games. And then you're still and then you put out basketball content. And then most recently, you just started tapping into using your platform for Black Lives Matter and social and racial injustices. So let's talk about kind of like your content creation and kind of the evolution of that story.
So I'll say maybe freshman year high school, my brother and I would watch a lot of like video game content. We try to create some of our own, but we didn't have anything close to what was necessary to make anything look good or look like what the people we were watching look like. You need to get a capture card and a microphone and this and that. And at our age, and just like with the way everything was, we're not just gonna get that. So made a few videos, stopped my channel, put that on pause, switched over to making basketball stuff. I would record and edit my clips, or I had one of my friends would record it, and we kind of make a mixtape or a highlight tape, but kind of make it. I remember one that I made my junior year was kind of more like more cinematic than a regular, like a coach here, look at these clips. And at that point, that's when I started to be like, oh, I actually want to start directing and filming stuff. But
when you say cinematic, you're talking like behind the scenes, like in the huddle shots. How do you describe cinematic?
Oh, so when I say cinematic, I mean it was more like a show where we're going through the whole game experience, the warm-ups, the game, the post-game. Like after every game in high school, I would shoot around and I would like kind of get a few extra shots up just to, I didn't want to waste the extra time I had still on the court. And we shot that. We did some slow-mos. We had music and kind of made it more like you're watching, like you're watching a show versus clip by clip. Here's my point. Here are my points. Here are my blocks. Here are my tough rebounds and stuff like that. And we also did like drone shots for some, like it was more than just a highlight tape that I would send to a coach. And that experience of having ideas and like putting it towards something is when it turned more to, I want to direct film, or I want to kind of stick to a YouTube channel and post more consistently. And then that stopped for a while, stopped doing basketball stuff. And then after going to Cornell, I was like, at least for me, before going to school, like any school transition, whether it's middle school to high school to college, like I watched a ton of YouTube videos about a ton of random stuff, just trying to gain some perspective. And then I realized, like, wait, I'm now pretty much done with all the transitions. I've done the middle school to high school. I've done the high school to college. So now I'm at the point where I can kind of share my experience and, help out the kids that were once me, looking up like how to be successful in this in high school, how to handle X, Y, and Z. And then that's where I started. Like, I had a few more videos on my channel. Some of them are privated now just because I didn't like how they turned out, but I started doing that. And then I met one of my friends from middle school, actually is studying film in Savannah, Georgia. and I'd seen that he'd been posting a lot of stuff, and I'd seen him at a music festival once the summer before. I hadn't seen him really in years, like actually meeting him. And I just reached out to him. I'm like, hey, I want to start film directing. I have like a basketball project that I want to do. Let's do it. And then I worked on the storyboard, didn't really get far. And then on March 30th, um, I'm seeing on Twitter, I'm getting texts and stuff about the protests in downtown. There had been one the day before, and then to that Saturday, I believe, was like a huge day for protests all over the country. And I woke up, I texted him, it's like, hey, let's go report this protest or document this protest. And luckily he was free, came over to my house, and then we got there, recorded it, did the editing the next day, and we watched it. We were like, wait, we just did something. So that kind of turned it into, all right, let's focus on this. We both have bigger interest than just documenting this movement, but our goal is to build a platform to where our voices can be heard louder and more frequently, and kind of speak for our age demographic in a more unbiased, not necessarily neutral, but yeah, unbiased way. I think that a lot of people, there's a lot of great conversation going on right now. And I think that people are able to silence each other because of the emotion. And I think that once people start appealing to humanity, and it's like, hey, it's not about left versus right. It's not political parties. Stop talking about, what, like, nitpicking what people in government have done. That's not necessarily what our goal is. Our goal is like, hey, we as people need to come together. We need to recognize when someone's hurting, and we need to take it personally, whether or not you think you're responsible. Listening and maybe hearing and maybe changing the way you do something or the way you think about something could be very meaningful. Because, I mean, I don't know, me personally, I'm not talking to, my mayor every day. I'm not talking to my, state senate every day, but I'm talking to friends. I'm meeting new people, and it's those interactions that shape, who we elect, how we elect them. So I think the first step is, changing, the everyday person, because that's what really matters. And then we can move towards, or actually, no, I don't care what people do past that, but my goal is, I want somebody to see a Black person, an Indian person, an Asian person, a white person, and be curious and like get rid of the assumptions and get rid of, the idea that somebody is something because of what you can see. There's so much that you can't see, and you should want to discover it versus just find the boxes and put somebody in a box. It should be more about discovery. And that's what my content is about right now.
Dude, that's awesome. Hair on my arm is standing up. The idea of being curious goes so far. That's something running this podcast for the past 4 years speaks volumes. That's the only reason why we've had, the success we've had, is because we're genuinely curious about the person across from us. And we want to share these stories of success because we're all just ordinary, average people, but we have extraordinary passions, and we have extraordinary things about ourselves that some people don't want to share or don't feel comfortable sharing because they feel like that might be cocky or verbose, and they just kind of keep it to themselves. But when you have an opportunity to ask a question and let that person, illuminate their true passions, I think it's incredible. And I love how you've shot your first 3 videos or so with, just a point and shoot, and you're asking, I'm not sure if you're even asking a question or you're just saying like, hey, could you share your thoughts on what's happening or what you're doing right now? I absolutely love it. It's very organic, and it's you can feel how real, just from the Chicago protest and then the one that you shot in Winnetka, with the people participating and the people in the surrounding environment kind of sharing what they're doing. What's kind of like your process when you walk into these situations with Kai, correct? That's your filmer. What's kind of like your mindset walking into each environment?
So I say, yeah, this is the way I put it. I'm the brain and he's the eyes. So I will, let's say, there are a lot of times where, and we kind of swap being the brain and the eyes, but more or less, he kind of filters out my idea. Let's say I have an idea and he knows what my idea will look like, and he'll be like, the lighting won't be right for that, or the camera isn't steady enough to shoot something like that, or, you know, he just has the knowledge in terms of film to keep everything clean and professional. And I think that we work really well in that way, in terms of I kind of have like a creative vision or a direction that I want something to look like, but he doesn't let it, he kind of filters it in a way that keeps it engaging and fresh and not, you know, overwhelming. But in terms of how we tackled the protest, it was kind of, the first one was very, I mean, very last minute, not a lot of planning. But as we went into it, I kind of saw the video, I saw the final product in my head, and then wanted to shoot the pieces to make it look like what I saw the final piece being. And he had his own input, and I had my own input in certain directions. In terms of the interviews, they were all the same. We would always start with like, what does it mean to you? What does it mean for you to be here right now? Why are you here? What are your thoughts? And then we would clip throughout the majority of both videos. We clipped my voice out. I tried not to be in the shot, just so the video is focused on the people that wanted to speak. Actually, even in the Winnetka protest, we had an interview with the state Senate of the 9th District, and we didn't include it just because we didn't want it to be about a political message. We kind of wanted to deter from that, and that was Kai's idea. And I thought that would made a lot of sense, because our goal is to influence the more everyday person and kind of show perspective. And I feel like it would turn others away from that by including something like a state senator. But I feel like that's the best way to describe it. It's like he just filters out the bad ideas and puts in some good ones, and then I kind of have a vision, and maybe I'll direct a few shots, like, I want you to do this with the camera and do that. But it's really like a ebb and flow relationship.
Mm-hmm. Has there been a particular shot or an instance that stood out to you more than the rest?
There are two, and the first one is actually in the Chicago video. When it starts, there's the man on the horse, and everything's very chaotic. There's a lot of noise, and then it kind of cuts to me being in the car, setting everything up. I think that in terms of improving like the first 30 seconds to minute and 30 seconds of a video has been something that I've been working hard on. I feel like a lot of it's different types of content, but like in my college advice videos, it was very boring in the first 30 seconds, and it hurt my engagement. But I think that giving people something that's like it starts with the little stock footage of the COVID virus thing, and then it goes to, you know, oh, there's a guy on a horse and they're about to charge a whole bunch of police officers. And then it's me talking in a car, very peaceful, and kind of mixing that up and kind of creating an experience in that way. I think is probably the best part of, or my favorite part of working on that project, is kind of creating something for a viewer to hold on to. And then in the Winnetka protest video, I think when it pans, like the part when it pans up to the sky, I don't know if you remember, but if it pans up to the sky in one part and it comes down while the first speaker is speaking, and that's something that I had planned like ahead of time. And even though, I mean, I think it's a cool transition, it's not anything particularly difficult, but like setting that up in order to put the text in and kind of have a smooth transition to the first interview, to the speaker, to the second interview, that was something else. I kind of saw that my vision, like I'm trusting my vision in that, film directing is something that I, have an eye for, and that those two shots kind of gave me my confidence, like take it more seriously and want to continue.
Right on, dude. Yeah, no, I know they shot exactly what you're talking about. It went up to the sky and then it shot to the guy in the blue polo.
Yeah,
That went first. Yep.
yeah,
And then the horse. That's incredible that you caught that on camera twice.
yeah.
That is a lasting image that like captures truly what the moment. And even just kind of like the people rushing in each direction, you really set yourself up in a good spot. And I think Kai does a great job of making sure that the like the back end editing, or he captures the lighting perfectly. So it's like,
Oh yeah, so he
yeah,
actually, like, on his camera he does, I mean, I wish he was here so he could explain it, but he like turns down the color on while he's shooting it, so it's a lot, it's not as pretty looking like on the little monitor that he uses with the camera, but he himself manually edits the color after shooting. And like the before and after is, I can't even describe it. It's insane how he, I don't know, he's learned, I mean, he's learned a lot at Savannah, so
yes.
it's definitely paying off, and he's very, very gifted, very talented. I always tell him that he's gonna take over the film game in a couple of months to years. So yeah,
Love the process, dude.
yeah,
Keep it going, Kai, because he's doing well.
yeah.
You also mentioned in your blog post how the music, picking the right music, was important to you.
Mhm.
Can you kind of break down the way you picked out the music for the Chicago protest?
I think for me, music for me is life. Like, I listen to a song and I tie it. Every song that I've listened to, I can tie it to a specific point in my life, or when it came out, or when it was most popular, or how it made me feel, and so on. And I think that that relationship with music helped me select the track list for that first video. Um, and then that first, I can't remember the names of the songs, but the first one that I played, like I think it's called Black. I forgot who it's by, but the first song that plays in that video had gotten a lot of popularity on social media. It came out a few years ago, but it like on TikTok and Instagram, I'd seen it a ton. I'd heard it a ton, and I felt that um, for the younger people in the audience um, that are on TikTok, that are on Instagram, would hear it and be like, "Oh, I know this song." Um,
My buddy, I just looked it up on your video.
yeah,
Yep.
uh, and it would just like draw people in. It's very aggressive, and it just fits the tone. And then the next song, the J. Cole, She's Mine. I think it's either part one or part two. Um, part two, yeah. That song, I remember that album came out like late December um, of my junior year, or my sophomore year. And I remember hearing that song, and I thought it was like, it's probably the most beautiful J. Cole song I've ever heard. And I felt that, the scene when it's like the ladies in the car and they're putting their fists up in the sky, and then it goes to the man sitting with his dog in a wheelchair. And I was like, I feel that that song kind of brought out that emotion. Everybody's hearing about the rioters and the looters, but did you know that there is a man with a little chihuahua in a wheelchair also participating? And I felt that choosing a song that kind of fit that, while also showing the glass being shattered, because people did do, it's not that, the rioting and looting didn't happen, but it's just not all that happened. So kind of showing that, there's innocence, there's emotion, there's fragility in it, picking that kind of music. And then the last two songs, I wanted something just very aggressive. I think songs that were exemplary of like hip hop and Black culture, with Kendrick Lamar, and then the Meek Mill remix. I think those songs are just like, this sounds like classic hip hop. So you have to have to
Mhm.
something like that just to tie it in. And yeah,
With music, you mentioned earlier how you are also active in the music industry. Are you creating your own music?
yes, I'm working on getting a manager right now. I've probably been writing music since my freshman year, so probably like about to be 5 years of writing music. Definitely didn't start out very good, but I feel like I've improved to this point, and I want to start getting more serious about it. And I'm just testing out different styles, different sounds. Um, but yeah, music is something I'm very passionate about, even at an early age. Um, I could like recognize certain producers in music that I was listening to. Uh, I would recognize like what song is like. I could predict what song will be like influential in terms of like between like my group of friends or like the Chicago um, area, and I think that came from my upbringing. My dad listens to like all types of music, led me to listen to all types of music, and kind of building that ear um, has brought me to want to participate and like join the music creation industry.
Dude, that's awesome. You're 19, 20?
I'm 18. I
You're
turned
18.
19 in August. Turned 19 in August. I got a couple months to be like 18, or not
Hell
even
yeah.
months. Few days or weeks, something like that.
So you're turning 19 in August. You're
Yeah.
up to so many different paths, and you care about each one of them, which is the coolest thing.
Yeah.
You genuinely have thoughtful, caring, like passion towards each little niche that you're tackling. Like as an 18-year-old, creating a platform for Black Lives Matter and all these other various outlets, and trying to walk on at Michigan and play Division I basketball and accomplish your dream of playing in March Madness. What's that like? Like, how are you feeling? What's going on in your head?
I've been telling like literally everybody my age. I mean, it doesn't really matter what age you are, but like now is prime time to just do whatever you like. I mean, I don't know. If you want to do something, do it, because the only reason you couldn't do something is if you were dead. And if you're not dead, then you should be doing whatever it is that you want to do. Um, I think it's like every once in a while, I'll be like, wow, this is like, I'm trying to do a lot of things. How am I going to manage it? But then like, there are so many hours in the day. There's so much time. If most people are busy. So like when you're working on something and you're not working on something else, you can just switch it the next day. Like there's so much time. Um, and like, I don't want to regret not trying something. Like you only regret, I feel like when you ask somebody, what's your biggest regret? Oh, it's not trying this, or it's not investing in that. It's always a negative. It's not I regret doing. It's typically, in my experience, I may be wrong, but in my experience, is always a negative action for regret. And I mean, I know I'm going to die at some point, and it's none of my regrets are going to be negative. I hope I don't have any, but as of right now, it's all about just go do it. If you want to try it out. If you're not good, find somebody who's good at it, try it again. That's all I can say.
Yeah, man. There's nothing cooler than trying something new for the first time, recognizing you didn't do it too well, and then being like, "All right, I have more times to keep trying, and get better at something that you care about." Be uncomfortable. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable in these new situations, and I totally agree with you. It's more times than not, if not every time. If you have a regret, it's because you didn't say something. It's because you failed to take action. It's because you sat on your hands. And I'm stoked that you're finding that, like, as a sophomore in college. I didn't have that. I think a little bit later I started picking that up. But that's freaking sweet, man. So now you're heading to Michigan. Will you be attending school? Has that been finalized?
Yeah. So
Like on campus, I mean.
yeah, we're gonna have lectures online, and then smaller classes will be live and in person. I'm not exactly sure which classes, like if they're gonna put it on our schedule or like email us or something to know. Like if there's like a class size line, like maybe it's a small, maybe it's like not a lecture, but it's the same size and it's technically a smaller class. Will those be online? That I don't know, but we will be on campus as of right.
Gotcha. Right on. Well, let's tap into a little bit of the back pocket here. Some core questions of ours. First one is an average quality, something you do well at times and other times not so well. At the end of the day, it's your average quality. So Mazid, what would be your average quality?
Probably impulse, like decision making, or not being impulsive, like kind of making that conscious decision to not just like do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, or all right, this is what I want to do. Here are my other options. That's definitely something that I can do sometimes. I definitely don't do it all the time, or all the time. But I do know that when I actually think about something or like plan something a little bit better, it's usually in my best interest. But I think hopefully that comes with age. I don't know.
Yeah, dude, keep saying yes. I love impulse decisions. I'm always a fan of. Do you have like an example you can think of where you were just like, all right, we're just going to say yes to this and make this happen? And it could be something you've already shared. I'm just curious.
I can't say that anything hasn't been an impulsive. I can't even think of something that I thought of beforehand. I'll say literally everything. The best example, I'll say, okay, I was playing for one AAU team, Chicago Hoops, probably, I don't even know how old I was, some like underclassmen in high school. And this one coach was like, hey, I want you to play for us. We have practice tomorrow. And I was like, can I think about it? He said, you can just tell me right now. And I was like, okay, I'll be at practice tomorrow. And I met some cool people, met some not cool people, but again, no regrets from it. I made some great friends. Definitely one of my favorite coaches ever, Coach Dre. But yeah, I'd say everything I've ever done has been a last second shot, and it kind of has worked pretty well. I mean, I haven't. Yeah, I don't really plan much. I plan my days. I don't necessarily plan my actions, if that makes sense.
Yep. How's it been playing AAU in Chicago? Because I mean, if outside of New York and Southern California, I mean, Chicago's the hub. I went to Mount Prospect, so I was a Northwest Suburbs guy, and I had a bunch of friends playing AAU and stuff. Like I'm Jalil Okafor's age, so I went to a bunch of his games.
Mm-hmm.
How's that been, like being in one of the most competitive basketball areas?
I'll say the first thing is Chicago basketball is such a unique style, and I didn't really notice it until I didn't even think about it until college, and we're playing open gyms, and I kind of feel like I'm playing the game in a completely different way, a different set of emotions than pretty much all my teammates. And looking back, Chicago basketball is very aggressive, high speed, high intensity defenses, super high pressure. I feel like Chicago makes they make the best guards. Like I can't even.
Jalen Brunson.
Yep. Derrick Rose.
Yep.
Wade. I'm thinking more my age, DJ Stewart, Aquan Smart, Ahmad Bynum, like just from the Chicago area, it's just these crazy athletic guards, quick. Every once in a while we'll get a Derrick Rose or Dwayne Wade, and I know there's one coming. But it's great to see like I don't know, it's just like you think like to us, the regular kids, but then you go on your Instagram and you'll see like, oh, this kid is going to East, like Maryland or Duke or highly recruited athletes. And it's definitely crazy to just have that be a norm in your city, to have a couple every year or so.
Yep. And with that, what's in your back pocket when these situations, and it could be on the basketball court, it can just be in your everyday life, when pressure becomes stress and anxieties rise, and what's in your back pocket to overcome these situations?
Really, I'll say it's a lot of, I'll say it's a lot of music, and it's a lot of memories for me. I think that it's not so much, you know, this is my personal philosophy. A lot of people say live in the present and be in the moment, but for me, I kind of make my actions, or I try to make my actions so that when I look back on it, I have something good to look back on. And I think, like, especially with the whole, staying at home, I didn't have a chance to visit Michigan or visit Miami University, another school that I was considering. And it kind of set me back in terms of my basketball, in terms of my basketball goals. But just listening to kind of songs that I associate with like good times, or thinking back about times when, I could go to the gym and play basketball, and kind of building up that idea that, at those times there was still stuff going on then, there's stuff going on now. Just play some music, plug in your headphones, connect to a speaker, because you're still, again, going back to what I said earlier, you're still alive. So you don't want to give yourself too many excuses. I try to stay in a positive mindset as much as possible. Everybody's going to have their bad days or weeks, but kind of finding, kind of locking in on those good times definitely definitely brings me back to normal, back to neutral, which is happy for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my main strategy.
Yeah, man, stay positive, keep pushing forward, keep challenging yourself. What would you say is next? What would, you're heading to Michigan, you're trying to walk on. What's that going to be like? Is there anything else kind of like in the next couple months that's happening in your life that you want to share?
Actually, there are quite a few new things going on. I'm directing a film shoot for a clothing brand called Closure. It's like a streetwear brand. It's had a couple of like Trippie Redd, The Holiday, Ian Dior has worn Closure, which is a brand started by one of my older brother's friends, and I'm going to be directing a kind of pre-release video for that. I'm also going to be starting a basketball series looking at 4 of my cousins who are all kind of going through different basketball experiences. Although Chicago has, some highly ranked prospects and great NBA players, there are also some guys like myself who made, they can play the game, but they didn't get all the praise to come with it, and kind of sharing that story and kind of seeing where that leads them. That's another project, along with doing music videos and really recording and releasing my own music, getting a manager in the next week or two. And then in terms of Michigan, I've been starting to train. My goal is to train every single day until August 22nd, which is my move-in day. And by building that consistency, I hope, and like whatever opportunity rises or doesn't, I'll be sitting on a lot of consistency, and it will keep me motivated whether I get an opportunity or not. I'll still have a junior, senior year, potentially be a grad transfer player. So there's still so much time. I'm not done. Basketball isn't going anywhere. And then digital marketing, I'm also doing like hunting down small businesses that may not be on Google Maps or not on Instagram, not on Facebook, and getting their social medias going, getting them on Google, getting them reviews, and kind of making work out of that. And that'll create opportunities for me to start doing film and taking pictures to kind of get their website or social medias going. It'll just be, good practice, and it's also a job. So
Yeah, man. Dude, that's a great lead magnet. I'm a digital marketer by day. I'm a podcaster by night.
mhm,
So if you ever need any extra piece of advice, I run more Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Google ads,
mhm.
outside of just like the organic stuff. So if you ever need an extra advice or anything, I'd love to help you out in that area.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it. It's a lot to
Sweet.
learn,
Oh yeah.
but I'm
Um,
definitely excited. I think it'll help me more. It'll help me more than it'll hurt to do that extra work, the baby steps to learn the basics. But I'm definitely excited.
yeah, and if anything, you're getting to know all the small businesses in your area, and creating that relationship that will lead to something that you probably won't even predict.
Mhm. That is very true. A lot, yeah. This summer is definitely. I don't know. It's been weird that I've had the most productive summer of my life when I'm supposed to be stuck in the house. It's like
Right.
it's been telling me a lot about what really is opportunity and what is time. I don't know. The world is what you the world is what you can make it if you have the slightest bit of resources. So
Yes.
gotta spread the wealth and see what people can do.
And talking about resources, Backpocket grows by challenging ourselves through our guests. So we ask every single guest, who do you challenge to have us on the show? Whether it's someone you think we wouldn't even have possible, whether it's your best friend, who do you think, Mazid, would be good for the Backpocket? And I'm thinking like this could be a Zoom call, or if you know anyone in my area, I'm in here in Minneapolis, that we could have on the show in person.
I would actually I have a few ideas actually, and one of them, or okay, first is definitely Kai Reinhard that did the filming and kind of he's definitely one of the most unique people I've ever. I still don't. I think, and I don't even know if he's real. He's not. He doesn't. I don't even want to say too much about him. I'd rather have him speak on that. But I think he'd be definitely a great guest. And then Zario, he was the uh, speaker in the Winnetka protest video with the blue shirt. I think speaking to him would definitely be. He has a unique story. Definitely very accomplished. Has done a lot of great things. Steve Sarowitz, he was also in that video. He's Baha'i, very successful in the business world. Very oddly simple for someone so successful. People have their expectations, and you can't really predict the personality that comes with someone that's so accomplished in that regard. And then Zaya, who was the girl that sang in the Winnetka protest, I think that she would be cool. Definitely a lot younger than everybody else I mentioned. Still in high school, singer, activist. I don't even know how. I couldn't even think of all the categories, but I think that
Yeah.
grouping of people. I don't know how many these. I don't know if you call it book, but I don't know how many you have already lined up. But I think that those few people are definitely. I think I would like to hear more about them.
Mm-hmm. Challenge accepted. What was the woman's name who sang the high schooler?
Zaya.
Zaya.
Yeah, XIA. At least I think that's how you say it.
Okay.
I hope that's right.
Yeah, when she talked about why she picked Stand By Me over Imagine, just that small snippet, you could tell that she's one thoughtful individual. That's,
I thought the same. Like in the moment when recording it, I didn't realize it, but in the editing, I was like, wait, that's like she was doing it like wholeheartedly. It wasn't halfway. she just wasn't doing what she was told. She had her own vision, and she wasn't messing around with it. And, yeah.
Awesome, man. Challenge accepted, all three. Love it. And then we'll finish with this final question. What did you learn today from the moment that you woke up to when we're having this conversation?
What did I learn today? What did I learn today? Consistency. That's what I learned today, is just be consistent. And if you can't do it on your own, get some people to help you be consistent. You also need to be consistent. That'll probably help you achieve your goal. That's what I learned.
Amen. Cheers to being consistent and persistent. And thanks for joining and taking time out of your day.
No problem. Thank you.
Sweet. All right.